It's difficult to believe, but it's 12 months since I was building this bench. A whole year has gone by. So I thought it would be useful to do a quick retrospective of how I'm getting on with it in actual use. And the short answer is, it's fantastic. If you'd like a longer answer, stick around. Welcome to Workshop Essentials. There are lots and lots of things that I like about this bench. It's the right height, it's comfortable to work at, and the other one was getting to feel a little bit high as I'm getting shorter in my old age. It's also just a fraction below my table saw, so I can use my table saw with long lengths cross-cut without the bench getting in the way. I made it with far more dog holes than I had on my other bench. And that was a really good move. I bought these the last time I went to the States, and they were expensive, but worth every penny. I use these now virtually as my primary holding device. If I want to hold something down, the first thing I reach for are my holdfasts. And having them stored on the bench conveniently here, that was also a good move. There is a downside to having so many holes in the bench. If you're mending something, taking something to pieces, it's very easy to lose a screw or two down, and I'm picking screws up off the floor a lot more than I did before. But that's the price you pay for having lots and lots of holes in your bench. And having this line of holes in line with the dog on my vise, that was a really good move, actually. What else do I like? I like the tool tray. I wasn't sure whether I would or not because I've never had one before, and it's easy for them to collect just muck and rubbish and stuff. But I like it, and it was definitely a good idea to make it configurable. I've usually got that half as a well and this half flat, but I can move it about if I want. If I were to do this again, I would make the bench top thicker. This is X3-inch material, and I would make it X4-inch. Not because the top needs to be more solid, it's as solid as anything, but because that tool tray is not quite as deep as I would like. It would have been better if I'd made the tool wells deep enough to accommodate tools. That's sticking up. Even something as modest sized as that is sticking up. And my large tri-square doesn't go in at all. That will only go in like that. So I wish I'd made the tool tray a bit wider and a bit deeper. It would have been advantageous. This apron on the back here, that was a good move. That was a really good move because this is rock solid. It doesn't move at all, no matter what I'm doing on it. And over there, it's out of the way. I wish I'd made, this is a little bit wider than my previous bench, but I wish I'd made it wider still, if I'm honest. Maybe another 3 or 4 inches. Not only to make the tool well wider, but this back bit could do with being a bit wider as well. Sometimes I've found that the way I'm working stuff, I need a little bit more width that way. These infill pieces, these are looking tatty already. And one of the reasons is that the bench top has shrunk a little bit. It was all new timber, so you'd expect a little bit of shrinkage. But the top is held down with 2 coach screws, and the one at the front is through a hole, and the one behind it, about here somewhere, is through a slot to allow for wood movement. So this part of the bench has come towards me a little bit, and that's shrunk a tiny amount. But it means that instead of these being snug, as they were when they were first made, there's now a 3mm gap, 1/8 of an inch, all the way down here, which attracts muck and detritus and stuff. What else? The vise, the tail vise. Do you know what? I didn't do as good a job of executing this as I did on my previous one, which I built 20 or 30 years ago. It's a little bit sloppy, and there's not a lot I can do to fix it now, actually. And I've been thinking about this. I don't use it that much, but when you need one, it's excellent. And I think I've worked out a way in my head where I can use the existing mechanism but mount it more effectively. It relies on a couple of plates that are bolted together, and you have to get the tension just right for it to slide nicely. Too tight and it jams, not tight enough and it's all sloppy. And I think I can make it so that you don't have to do that tweaking. You can get it to be right without that. But that's a project for another time. The sliding deadman over here, this is excellent. I love this, actually, for planing edges of boards. It jams a little bit now. It slid sweetly when I made it, but it's cupped a little bit. I should have used quarter saw material, and I didn't. So I've had to trim it a bit, and I keep it lubricated with paraffin wax, actually, an old candle. So it does snag a little bit. Maybe I'll make a quarter sawn one day. maybe not. Having the power supply down here, that was a good move, much better than having it on the end, actually. Having the rear face of my vise flush with the front of the bench, that was a good move. Having the whole of the front of the bench in one plane, excellent. I've got Chris Schwartz to thank for that. The legs, the front of the bench, the back face of the vise, the bottom rail, all flush with each other. And it makes, you can do so much with that configuration, actually, in terms of holding things. The one thing I would most definitely change is this front lower rail. And I never thought about this when I did it. But it's a little bit too low, a bit too close to the floor. Because it's so far forward, when I'm standing at the bench, my toes are underneath the bench. And I can feel that rail. When I'm sort of coming to do something, they've just done it there. Just kick it. Just touch it with my boot doesn't get jammed underneath, but there's no clearance. And that is just a little bit irritating. If I'd had it half an inch higher, there would have been clearance and it would have been much more comfortable. Plus, when I'm sweeping up, which doesn't happen very often, I can't get the brush underneath there to get in. So I should have had that. Half an inch would have made all the difference. I very much hope that you have enjoyed watching this series. And if you have, please remember to like, subscribe and share. Tell everyone else about it, because it's the only way it gets seen. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Until the next time, enjoy your workshop. Cheerio!